Commissioner, can you hear me?
I can. I just wanted to see how that hand raise function might work in this application. It looks like it might work.
Uh, so we're live on YouTube, but it did work. I could see it on my screen, and then we turned the mic on for you.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission this first day of February. Before we get started, the chairman reminded me and wanted me to remind you that today we begin our maximum enforcement campaign against retail suppliers who are not compliant with Maryland's requirements, with the commission requirements. As you may recall his statement a couple of weeks ago, or was that last week? Well, anyway, recently, he mentioned that, really how disappointed we are with many retail suppliers, or at least a few bad apples in the barrel of retail suppliers, and that we really are not going to tolerate any longer having these retail suppliers cheat and rip off. I'll just say that our Maryland ratepayers. So again, just important to everyone have noticed that we are beginning that surge today, and I would also say it's disheartening, but we just received the report from CAD, our Consumer Affairs Division, and we are near record levels of complaints, retail supplier complaints. So that is really discouraging, given that we've been focusing on this at the Commission for some time now. So again, that begins today. Do any of my colleagues care to have a statement or say anything at this point? And also, I would note that I believe we have Commissioner O'Donnell virtually. I can barely see him. Is he here, Mr. Secretary? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I think we can probably get that a little bit bigger.
Okay. Yeah. If we could expand that, just Commissioner O'Donnell is here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to say before we start, at your invitation, to thank my colleagues in the commission for the forbearance for my remoteness. I have a little bit of a health issue going on. I hope it's temporary, and I hope I'll be back in the office very shortly. But thank you for that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner, and we wish you well and hope to have you back in the office soon. Please, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd echo your comments regarding Commissioner O'Donnell, and wish traveling mercies and traveling speed to the chairman, who's in ERCOT service territory now. So I hope.
Yeah,
all will be
he
well.
braved Southwest and the frozen tundra, which is now Texas. So
I'm sure we will see him soon. Regarding the maximum enforcement, I'd just like to note that many consumers who may be on contracts that are not favorable to them currently would be accruing charges today that will become due and potentially collectible by utility companies after they've purchased a receivable after April. And as we know, April is the period of time when our COVID protections are lifted. So there's an interesting situation here where we have several different challenges that could occur at the same time. So this is a timely effort, and I'm looking forward to providing some service and assistance to customers that may need it.
right. Thank you, Commissioner Linton.
I would,
Mark.
yes, echo everything, but also, Commissioner O'Donnell, I miss you. I really am used to sitting next to you, so hopefully you get back into the office soon, so.
Thank you, Commissioner Bubar. Well, first we have minutes to approve. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. With that, Mr. Executive Secretary, I'd like to get us started.
Mr. Chairman, there are 4 items on today's consent agenda. Item number 1 is an unbundled network element loop forbearance amendment to an interconnection agreement between Verizon Maryland LLC and Allied Telecom Group LLC. Items 2 and 3 are also element loop forbearance amendments to interconnection agreements between Verizon Maryland LLC and Fusion Cloud Services LLC. And item number 4 is a notification of new name from Marathon Power LLC.
All right, I'll first look to my commissioners. Do you have any questions? If not, then I will go ahead and I will first move for item number 1 that we note the filing. For item number 2 and 3, approve the interconnection agreement amendment 10 days after a 30-day comment period unless adverse comments are filed. And item number 4, I would note the name change. The vote will start with Commissioner Bubar.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motions are adopted.
Mr. Chairman, item number 5 on the administrative agenda consists of tariff revisions from Baltimore Gas and Electric Company.
Great. Thank you.
Good morning,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Ms. Coates.
Commissioners. Hi. On December 27th, Baltimore Gas and Electric filed revised rates and tariff pages to Rider 3. Mr. Chairman, do you want to do Rider 3 and Rider 7 separately or as a unit?
Well, it looks like we have, let me look real quickly. It looks like the motions would be different if we go with
Okay.
Actually, why don't we go ahead and do both, and I'll just bring up both motions at that point.
Fine. All right. So the company proposed revised rates and tariffs for Riders 3 and 7. The Rider 3 rate reflects the pipeline capacity cost of providing standby service, which is a voluntary service for Schedule C daily metered customers. The proposed rate is an increase of about 1.5 cents per therm, or 8.7%. The average monthly bill for a daily metered commercial customer selecting standby service will increase approximately $237. The primary cause of the increase is an increased rate for pipeline capacity on the Eastern Gas Transmission and Storage Pipeline, EGTS. The Rider 7 rate is more complicated. It's 3 different rates, charges associated with gas system capacity costs. Rates are calculated for firm distribution customers, daily metered customers electing standby service, and third-party suppliers. I am aware that the commissioners have read the lengthy staff comments, and I will limit my oral comments accordingly. The proposed rate for all firm distribution customers and daily metered customers with standby service is a negative number, so it will appear as a credit on customers' bills. The rate has increased from last year, meaning that while it is a credit, it is a smaller credit. The primary reason for this is the increase in the rate on the Eastern Gas Transmission and Storage Pipeline. The proposed rate for third-party suppliers is 0.8 cents higher than last year, which is an 18% increase. In last year's Rider 7 filing, the rate to third-party suppliers rose dramatically, and as a result, over the past several months, a series of discussions has taken place among the suppliers, BGE, and staff on the cause of that rate instability and possible remedies. During those discussions, it was agreed to by all parties that for the 2023 filing, BGE would exclude transactions on the Columbia Gulf Pipeline from the calculation of the incremental cost of recallable capacity releases, the margin. BGE has done that in the current filing. The company calculates that had those transactions been included, the rate would have increased by 65% instead of 18%. Staff concludes that the proposed rates were calculated in accordance with the requirements of Riders 3 and 7, and that BGE did exclude Columbia Gulf transactions from the margin calculation as agreed to in discussions with suppliers and staff. Thus, staff recommends that the Commission accept for filing BGE's proposed update to its Riders 3 and 7 to be effective for the 12-month period beginning with the February 2023 billings. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Coates. Why don't we turn to the company now, Ms. Sikora?
Good morning, Commissioners. Beverly Sikora on behalf of BGE. I just want to say once again that staff has done a very thorough review, and I, like I said last week, appreciate it because it certainly helps me understand our rate calculations even more. And also that staff has been really valuable in our discussions with the suppliers to kind of help be that middle ground of, between the utility on one side, the suppliers on the other side. Staff has really played, an important role in those discussions, and also helping us to try and figure out how we can make, this rate better, to make it less volatile than it's been in the past. So definitely appreciate their insight and their efforts.
Well, thank you, Ms. Sikora, and we appreciate your recognition of the great work that our commission staff do. With that, do commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Bubar.
Thank you, and I agree. Thank you, Ms. Coates. Your buck sheets are always very interesting to read. So I just have a clarification question on Rider 3. This is it for the decrease, right? There's no future decrease based on kind of the settlement rate. Because there was a sentence in the buck sheet where it basically said that, given that the rate was lower, that this would be shown as a credit. I just want to make sure I understand that what's filed is it. There's no future
This is
rate
it.
decrease.
This is it.
Okay, all right. And then I just had a kind of a follow-up question on Rider 7. So the proposal to remove the Columbia gas prices, is that actually a modification to the original settlement agreement? Like, did the settlement agreement actually lay that out?
Okay. Perhaps the company knows more than I do, but I will do my best. To my knowledge, the settlement agreement did not go to that detail.
Okay.
And therefore, it's up to BGE to figure out the correct way to apply the language of the settlement agreement. And for the reasons outlined in my comments, it was once appropriate to use the Columbia Gulf transactions because BGE was receiving gas from them to the city gate, and therefore they were part of the supply. But now BGE still has these lingering contracts, but is not using the Columbia Gulf transactions as part of its own gas supply for itself. Or, let me not say something I'm not sure of. And therefore, it makes sense that it would not be included as part of these calculations. It's not even in the gas plan anymore.
Okay, that's very helpful. Anything to add?
Is that accurate?
That's spot on. Neither actually the tariff nor the settlement agreement get to that level of detail, so.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Just, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one clarification question for myself. We noted in the buck sheet that about half of this increase for Rider 3 is due to the increase in pipeline capacity rates from EGTS, the Eastern Gas Transmission and Storage. Do we know how frequently they come in for additional rate changes? Are we going to see maybe another one in the future?
I think kind of, they're not under MYP, so it's not a nice schedule like we have. And so I don't really think, I don't believe there was a stay out provision or anything like that. So, it's when they feel they need to increase their rates, they will come back.
Okay.
But-
It's not in front of this commission, so I just
Right.
was
It's in
curious.
front of
Okay.
work, and BGE does participate, quite, but we get involved in those to make sure that, just like people intervene in our rate cases, we intervene in the pipeline rate cases.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Thank
All right, thank you, Commissioner Linton. And let me just look up Commissioner O'Donnell, or are you okay? Okay, nothing. Okay, well, if there aren't any other questions. Thumbs up. Oh, okay, great. I heard laughter. I was like, am I doing something wrong? Okay. Great. I will move that for tariff revisions to Rider 3 and tariff revisions to Rider 7 for Baltimore Gas and Electric, that we accept the tariff revisions for filing to become effective for the 12-month period beginning with February 2023 billings. The vote begins with Commissioner Bubar.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motions pass.
Mr. Chairman, item number 7 consists of tariff revisions from Delmarva Power and Light Company.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Anson Justy on behalf of staff. On December 22nd, 2022, Delmarva Power and Light Company, Delmarva, filed tariff pages updating its distribution rates to reflect revenue requirements and other changes referenced in the unanimous stipulation and partial settlement agreement approved by the Commission in Order Number 90445 regarding the company's multi-year rate plan. Delmarva has been authorized to collect $28.9 million in incremental revenue via distribution rates over the next 3 years beginning January 1st, 2023, including $16.9 million of that incremental revenue this year. Average residential customers will see an 8.99% increase in distribution bills this year, followed by a 2.27% increase in 2024 and a 2.18% increase in 2025. Please note this filing also updates the administrative adjustment component of the administrative charge, which is based on the rate of return determined in an MRP case. This was not included in Delmarva's most recently approved filing to adjust the other components of the administrative charge, which become effective today, February 1st. Therefore, the original filings in this instant case incorporate slightly different administrative charge components compared to what was updated and approved for February 1st. They will be updated and reconciled in the company's clean filings. Lastly, the company will be reopening its RTOU ND time of use rate with updated requirements matching those determined in PC 44 and already applied in its other RTOUP time of use rate. RTOU ND had been closed throughout the MRP to be redesigned. Staff recommends the Commission accept the tariff revisions as filed with the distribution rates effective for all bills rendered on or after January 1st, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Justy. Ms. Curry.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Richards, Commissioner Linton, Commissioner Bubar, Kim Curry representing Delmarva Power, and Commissioner O'Donnell as well. I have nothing to add. I'm available for questions.
Great, thank you. Do commissioners have questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, please, Commissioner O'Donnell.
Mr. Justy, let me ask you, do you know if the company, because this settlement agreement is going to be effective January 1st, if the company plans on billing customers twice the rate increase, if it's 8.99% in January, and those bills have been issued, obviously they haven't been collected because the tariffs weren't approved. Are they going to collect 17.98% for those customers who had a bill issued in January, in February, or are they going to spread it out over a different period of time? How's that going to work?
So the 8.99% is just the increase for the distribution rates. So I don't think it would be double billed.
I'm not suggesting double billing, but these tariff revisions are effective January 1st, but bills went out without these tariff revisions incorporated. So they got to go back and get that money from January.
So I think the January bill would be sent in February. So this would be this would be the bill applied to any usage in January. The January bill that has gone out would have applied to December usage.
Okay, so the buck sheet says for any bill issued after January 1st. Are you saying there's been no bills issued after January 1st?
I'd have to turn to the company on that one. I just know this is what is usually applied for these MRP recommendations.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we're initiating tariff revisions in February that have to go back and retroactively collect January increases. So help me out, company.
Yes, I can answer that question. So yes, the rates will go into effect January 1st. The first bills won't be issued until after February, and we would handle any delta between those two dates through the bill stabilization adjustment. So that's how we would end up recovering the costs.
I'm not sure I understand. I'm a little slow on the uptake. Can you try me again?
So I have Mr. Michael Normand here. He is our manager of rate administration, who can probably help with that description better than I can.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, to address your question, Commissioner O'Donnell, to address your question, the billing rates that will actually be presented on the customer bills will be billed prospectively February going forward. But for the company's revenue recognition for the month of January, the company has bill stabilization adjustment revenue per customer targets. So that will be used in the BSA recovery mechanism for the month of January. But for the regular monthly bills that go to customers, that will be recognized in February going forward prospectively. So the company gets its revenue recovery through the BSA mechanism for the month of January.
Okay, I think I understand. So you're going to get the money effective January 1st, but you're going to do it through a BSA for any bill issued in January. And it's a little weird because, you know, they're approved rates, but we haven't approved the tariff revisions until today, assuming we're going to approve them. So that's a little different. I guess I get it. So either way, the customer, and this is really at the nub of my question, the customer is going to get a double hit in February.
I think until the BSA gets filed, there's normally a 2-month lag. So they will pick it up in the BSA recovery in the future, but they won't get a double hit in February.
Well, okay, so they're going to get a double hit in some month. They
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
get
correct,
a double
correct.
hit.
Yeah,
Got
we're
to
gonna
go back
pick
and
that.
get that money. So
And I would add,
they get a double hit.
yes, at some point in the future. And I would add, Commissioner, that this is consistent with past rate cases, where we've kind of had a compliance filing that was after the date of a commission order, and we've rolled this through in the BSA mechanism where we got our revenue recovery, but billing rates were prospective. So this is consistent
Yeah.
with the company's past
I
treatment.
understand that. I'm just trying to understand the impact on the consumer in a time of trying economic circumstances. And at some point, they're going to get a double hit when inflation's through the roof and energy costs are through the roof and any manner of commodity or product or service prices through the roof, and people are hurting. I just want to understand that before I vote, and I wanted the commission to understand that too. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Are there any other questions? If not, I will move for item number 7, Delmarva Power and Light tariff revisions, that we accept the tariff revisions for filing effective for all bills rendered on or after January 1st, 2023. The vote begins with Commissioner Bubar.
Aye.
Commissioner Linton,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion is adopted. With that, that concludes our agenda. This administrative meeting is now adjourned.